What is the author's main purpose in writing this passage? When looking for a main idea, it's important to ask yourself, does every sentence in this paragraph either lead up to, mention, or expound upon this idea? Other helpful questions are, what would the paragraph look like if this was the main idea? Or what would the paragraph look like without this idea? Let's take a look at our choices for some examples. A. To discuss the causes of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and dementia, among which is sleep deprivation. Although all of these conditions are mentioned in the text, if this were the main idea, the text would focus on what causes lead to them. Rather, it's the other way around. The focus is on sleep deprivation and what that may lead to, including the conditions listed above. Because no other causes for these conditions are mentioned in the passage, this can be marked as incorrect. B. To suggest the length of a healthy night's sleep and mention the consequences of not getting enough sleep. This is likely our answer. The first paragraph focuses on the recommended amount of sleep to get, while the second paragraph discusses possible consequences for not getting enough sleep. Because every sentence in this passage relates in some way to this point, it is likely our final answer, but we'll take a look at the other choices just to be sure. C. To give an example of conditions that even one day of sleep loss can lead to. Although the text tells us that people who don't get enough sleep are at a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and dementia, and might also be predisposed to conditions such as anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder, these are brought in as examples of what a long-term bad sleep schedule can lead to. It's true that the text tells us that in the short term, even one day of sleep loss can harm your well-being, but it never explicitly says that one day of sleep loss can lead to these conditions. Aside from that, the concept of one day of sleep loss is only mentioned in one sentence in the second paragraph, and can't possibly be the main idea of the entire passage. This can be marked as incorrect. And D. To note that 1 in 3 adults don't get enough sleep. This is true. The second paragraph tells us that adults should get at least 7 hours of sleep a night, but 1 in 3 of them don't. Because this is factually true according to the text, let's now employ one of the questions we brought up at the beginning. What would this passage look like without this idea? Although this sentence brings an interesting statistic, as we might not have known how rampant the problem of poor sleep habits is, if it were to be removed, the passage would read more or less the same. In addition, nowhere else in the passage does it discuss any further ramifications of this sentence. Based on this, we can mark this off, and we can mark our original answer, choice B, as our final answer.